Some of these grants were partly spent. The projects in progress. Now they may never be completed. I tracked down the database, found the programs, and then found the people, because behind each administrative decision and signature in D.C., there are ripple effects that impact people in our communities, neighbors, friends, you name it, and they deserve to have their stories heard. Rihanna Hensley knew she wanted to be a change maker when she was 12. 3 years later, she discovered why.
And everything kind of went haywire when I was a victim of a violent crime when I was 15.
A peer followed her home and strangled her. Rihanna, born with ataxic cerebral palsy, nearly died.
This perpetrator chose me specifically because of my physical weakness.
As a disabled crime victim, Rihanna now entered the justice system.
I think the court system almost traumatized me just as much as the actual crime. I did not know my lawyer, did not meet her until sentencing day. I was referred to as the wheelchair girl by the judge. I never heard the judge say my actual name. It shocked me, the lack of support, and it really instilled this great need that I need to change this.
Years later, Rihanna joined a committee led by Meg Garvin and the National Crime Victim Law Institute in Portland to improve legal services for disabled crime victims.
So that you could be a really expert lawyer at no cost for victims with disabilities in Oregon.
Through a $500,000 federal grant, they created a training and a pairing system for lawyers and victims, ready for rollout in August. Then 10 days ago, the Trump administration cut the funds. The Justice Department told NCVLI and 364 other grant recipients nationwide that their programs no longer effectuate agency goals or priorities. Without the rest of the funding, the plans got shelved.
If you're going for efficiency of use of government dollars, this is not that, right? We had created a training, we're ready to roll with it. Lawyers could start representing after being trained as early as next fall. And now we don't get to do it.
Do you have a sense why this would be a program that's picked for a cut at the federal level?
Absolutely not. It shouldn't have been cut. It perfectly aligns with community safety, which the administration has set as a top priority.
KGW obtained the list of grant terminations, showing the other Oregon programs the Justice Department cut. They pulled funding from the NAACP in Eugene to address hate crimes by creating an effective reporting system. And the administration cut multiple grants to Multnomah County and community nonprofits that were funding youth gun violence prevention.
I mean, it creates a void in the system, right, of support to young people.
Charlene McGee directs the programs for the county. She says the community outreach and peer mediation model has been effective, reducing the number of violent incidents in Portland and creating a safer community.
We know that prevention works. We know that it's cost effective.
NCVLI and Multnomah County say they're looking at their options, maybe appealing the cuts, litigation, or looking for any other ways to fund these programs.
I immediately thought of 15-year-old Rihanna, how brokenhearted she would be to know that at the end of the day, the support and change that I was making, the accessibility to do it through the government was stripped.
But Rihanna's drive to make a difference still is strong, as always.
I was doing this since I was 12 years old. I don't think I will stop anytime soon.
In total, the Justice Department had allocated about $5 million to these halted Oregon programs. Before moving on, though, I'd like to talk about why. Why the Trump administration would make these sweeping cuts to ongoing grant projects. Two main reasons come to mind: saving money and content. From a spending perspective, cuts like these don't make much sense. Many of the grant programs are in progress. The organizations earned a grant through a competitive process. They have deliverables, things they need to achieve. They've spent, say, half of the $1 million they were awarded, and now the rest of the money is gone. The programs stop. If the goal is efficiency in government, this is the opposite. To stop now, it's likely that many grant recipients can't finish what they started. The community benefits aren't realized and millions of dollars are wasted on half-baked projects. So to me, that's an unlikely explanation. That leads us to content. In the Justice Department's termination letters to grant recipients, the department cited a change in priorities, saying it wants to shift to support law enforcement, combat violent crime, and protect American children. However, we looked through the database of all the slashed programs. Most of these grants are specifically focused on violence prevention, helping crime victims, and community safety. Dozens and dozens are designed to serve young people, American children. Or to hear it from Meg Garvin, her program supporting victims of a crime has never been controversial.
It doesn't make any sense to me why you would cut services to crime victims when there has been multi-decades and bipartisan support for this very work. I'm a lawyer. I have such faith in our system, and this is eroding my faith in our system.
Garvin, for what it's worth, told me they also had a researcher ready to evaluate everything they were doing, make an independent assessment of whether the work is effective, a good use of government money. And that was all part of the grant proposal. So then why make these broad cuts? If it's not to use more money more effectively, and the grants are seemingly in line with the administration's stated priorities, then what's the deal? Well, there is another common thread. The project description for NCVLI and disabled crime victims includes a line saying, disabled people face unique barriers in accessing justice, and we need to make an effort to achieve equitable treatment for these people. The Multnomah County grants for youth gun violence reference disproportionate impacts of school violence on Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, or BIPOC youth. The NAACP grant states that Black, LGBTQ, and immigrant populations are at higher risk of hate crimes. And the POIC grant references trauma-informed care for high-risk individuals. In other terms, they all use keywords for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's no secret that DEI is a top target for the Trump administration. President Trump said in March, and it's prominently shared on the White House website right now, we will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program across the entire federal government. But defining what DEI actually means and what kinds of things are DEI, well, that's a little harder. So when people rally against DEI, I am curious, do they know they could be rallying against better legal services for disabled people, for victims of a violent crime, people like Rihanna, strangled on her way home from school? Do they know that by pushing back against DEI, they could be advocating against programs that reduce gun violence in our schools and our neighborhoods, and for hate crime victims to have less support? I'd say for most people, they don't realize that targeting everything as DEI could lead to these results. But what do you think? Get in touch with us. You can email the story at kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.